Morgan, Paul, and I, we have something in common. One of my greatest passions, one of the main reasons this channel exists is Hi, beautiful people. So today we're talking about Paul and Morgan's belief that to be a real or a good Christian, that we must vote for Donald Trump. I will talk about why I believe that is not true. It includes abortion. So welcome to another demonetized video by God is Gray.
This really is for people who are claiming to be Christians, who are saying that they're walking with the Lord, and yet you're like legitimately thinking about voting for Biden and Kamala.
Before we get started, I do really need to clarify that although I will be expressing my opinions about abortion in this conversation, that this is not meant to bring any shame to any of you who have made that choice. Statistically, a lot of abortion clients identify as Christian. So before we're quick to judge either each other or even ourselves, we need to really come at this with humility, love, compassion, grace, and of course, the nuance that this conversation really requires. And Paul and Morgan, I beg you to hear me out because I promise you we have way more in common than you think. But before we begin, two announcements. One, I want to thank all of you who donated to the GoFundMe for I Stand With Stell. My attorneys discounted their rates even beyond what I initially expected, and your donations now exceed my legal bills. My plan is to donate the additional amount so that we can help others have access to the lawyers that they need. I will be researching the Innocence Project and similar organizations, as well as reaching out to the donors to see where this money will be best spent. I will keep everybody in the loop. And two, I'm going to do a bigger announcement for this soon, but my memoir, On Her Knees, is available for pre-order right now. God is Great community. You are so supportive, so full of love. I am incredibly grateful for you, and I am really proud of this book, and I genuinely hope you will enjoy it. I have so many mixed emotions with this. I am nervous and exhilarated. There are some crazy secrets in this book. My heart is on my sleeve. The journey that I've been on with all of this, sexuality, relationships, all of these universal themes that I hope will make you feel seen. Somehow before even announcing this, On Her Knees made it to the top 250,000 on Amazon. This number changes all the time, so please help it climb up. Click below to be the very first people to pre-order my memoir, On Her Knees. You can also follow the Instagram for updates and sneak peeks. I noticed as of recently, Paul and Morgan have shifted their channel to include more political discourse.
Let's talk about Kamala.
And with the election coming up, I did want to offer a different opinion, which is that no, you do not have to vote for Donald Trump to be a good Christian. If those words had come out of my mouth 10 years ago, I'd be like, what is going on? It is true. As you don't have to vote for Joe Biden to be a good Christian. A lot of us as Christians have been taught whoever the candidate, if they are pro-life, that is the way we need to go. And this is absolutely not true. But before we begin, regardless of party, make sure you are registered to vote. Stell actually created the nonpartisan Voter HQ. Follow this Instagram, register to become informed on policies, candidates, and deadlines so you can make your own decisions. On Paul and Morgan first, let me show you something I am so humbled and grateful to see.
I feel like our world is the most divided it's ever been.
Very divided. And the church.
Yes, and the church. And it's just like, wait, what? The church? We should be uniting right now.
Yeah.
And instead we're fighting about these things.
Before deciding to do this video, I actually had a dream that I was at a bar somewhere in the South, post-COVID, and Paul and Morgan walked in. And at first it was like tense and weird, like high school drama. But after a while, Morgan and I kind of broke the ice. We started talking, we hit it off, and we were playing pool together. And I woke up like, dang, that was just a dream. I really wanted it to be real. It felt good. And a part of the reason that I know that was in my psyche is because I've been experiencing a lot of anxiety and fear watching our nation become more and more divided. After having this dream about Paul and Morgan, I saw this video and I was so happy to see it.
It's okay to be confident, but to still be humble and to recognize that You might be confident on this right now, but be open to the Lord changing your heart about it later.
Exactly. And to do this, we have to get back to the original message of Jesus.
We know as believers, as God's children, that Jesus is the answer.
Mark 12:28 is what our entire religion is meant to be based on. Not fear, anxiety, shouting at each other, but this. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this. Love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. As a progressive Christian, I've been accused of taking this verse too far. Like, Brenda, Jesus isn't all love. He's also about conviction. Like Paul says here.
But Jesus at the same time, like, he was the Prince of Peace, but again, he knew that he was going to be bringing division.
But at this point, I disagree with the wording. Jesus didn't come to bring division. His truly divisive quality was love, that he was giving love to people on the fringes of society, people that others, and especially religious people, did not deem lovable. And as far as who brings division, the Greek word for devil is diabolos, which shares a root with the verb that I cannot pronounce, diabalion, which means to split. Therefore, biblically, when we see division, that is a mark of evil, not of Jesus. And the more we rise up and play into that division, which I've been guilty of, the less we are behaving like Jesus. This is honestly the main reason I count someone like Trump on the side of evil. Not that he himself is evil, that is up for debate, but that anyone that plays into division, that says us versus them, politicians on either side, I don't care, is not on the right side of this. I am a liberal person. I am not your enemy. If you're hearing from the President of the United States that I am, then there is a problem. Morgan, Paul, and I, we have something in common. One of my greatest passions, one of the main reasons this channel exists, is to educate people and thereby prevent abortions. We share this goal. We are simply trying to be solution-oriented from different angles. Here's the tricky part. In Paula Morgan's recent video, there's a combination of let's be humble, but also we will never budge on abortion. And you kind of can't be both at the same time.
With politics, there are absolutely some areas that are a little bit gray.
I love Paul acknowledging that there is gray in a lot of these issues. I know that with abortion, a lot of evangelicals consider this a black and white done issue, and therefore they're not humbling themselves. They're not actually listening to what a pro-choice Christian like me is actually saying about it.
In the gray areas, let's have healthy discussion.
Yeah.
When it comes to abortion, like Noah said, like, that's an area where we're not gonna cave and budge.
But this is what we need to do. We need to listen to each other. And again, seeing eye to eye becomes even more complicated because Christians like Paul and Morgan outright say that they are one-issue voters.
You know, people talk about being one-issue voters, but if we're talking about murdering innocent babies, in my opinion, that better be the biggest issue.
I know that people are like, well, how dare you vote for Trump? He's horrible and a sexist and a racist and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like,
Bibbidi
I
boppidi.
don't know, for me, this is just me. When it comes to abortion, I could never vote for a woman or human that is okay with that.
So Paul, Morgan, other one-issue voters, please hear me out. I'm a Christian. I care. Morgan, we are aligned here.
It's okay that we're passionate about this stuff. And the Lord has not only given us these passions, He's calling us to address these passions.
Something that Paul, Morgan, me, Girl Defined all have in common is this passion that we have, this boldness and courage to speak what we believe to be truth. I went to public school. I was praying on the front lawn, getting made fun of by everybody. I was teased for wearing my purity ring. And I made an art project when I was 15. I called it Abortion, and it was this paper mache woman 9 months pregnant, holding a gun to her belly. All said, preventing abortion has been a passionate subject for me since I was in high school. And honestly, I cannot fathom having social media and wokeness coming after me while I was defending these positions. I know you believe you are doing the right thing, and I honor that. I do. But we must go after the pro-life, pro-choice debate with compassion and listening to each other. And we also must devote ourselves to fact-based information. So, There are two lenses from which to see abortion. One, from the perspective of morality, and two, from the perspective of legality. The reality, and this should be encouraging to people from all sides of the debate, is that people do not have to agree on the morality of abortion to prevent it. Statistics show that promoting comprehensive sex education, providing access to contraception, and advocating for resources for parents in need prevents abortion. So this is where Christians need to compromise. If morally you believe sex before marriage or condoms are a sin, you have every right to believe that and live that. But if saving babies is the singular, most important issue to you, to the point that you will vote for anyone that is pro-life, then you have to concede that comprehensive sex ed, contraception, and resources are key to preventing abortion. If you are like activist mommy who is actively working to keep sex ed away from students, then you are a part of the problem, not the solution. And Morgan touches on a practical issue here.
I know that the adoption process is crazy and we need to work on that. Like, let's work on that to pass laws that make adoption easier, cheaper, and better.
She is absolutely right. I see a lot of Christians flippantly say, well, just have the baby and give it up for adoption. But as someone who has carried a baby, I can promise you it is not that easy. And two, I do know people that had terminations because they didn't have faith in the foster care or adoption system. Let's do something about it. These root issues are where people like me, Paula Morgan, Girl Defined, Mr. Atheist could all get on board and work on this together. Statistically, money is the biggest reason people choose abortion. I myself was supposed to owe $6,000 to $120,000 for my pregnancy. I was only able to skirt that because I lost my job. I have friends that had good insurance, good jobs that still owed $40,000 or $50,000. When abortion clients were asked why they chose that path, over half were already mothers, over half identified as Christian, and 3/4 were low income or on the poverty level. And if even our Christian sisters are getting abortions at these rates, then we have to acknowledge that practical solutions are the answer, not this argument of morality. I imagine morally the majority of those Christian women had a problem with it. And this is controversial, but this is why universal health care was such an appealing prospect to me as a Christian. We talk about fake news and fear-mongering. One of those points of fake news is that all of our taxes will skyrocket if we have universal health care. Do the research on those proposals. That's not true. And secondly, even if that were true, the tenets of Christianity are about compassion, healing, and love and sacrifice. I'm not a socialist, but I am saying that if healthcare was a human right instead of a privilege, then women wouldn't have to choose between astronomical healthcare bills and bringing forth new life. Why would we put that stumbling block in front of people who want to say yes, who want to have a baby? Coming to the end here, I have 3 other videos on abortion that I would love for you to check out. One clarifies the truth of partial birth abortion because there are so many lies on this.
Kamala Harris was one who voted to let the babies just
Basically just lay on the table.
lay on the table screaming until they die.
This is not true. And the other 2 debunked theories about the pro-choice movement. Lastly, I need to be fair and talk some trash on Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood has been good to me. I have been an advocate. When I was single and waiting for marriage to have sex, they gave me checkups. They were my only doctor, so I could check in on my health. When I was married and still couldn't afford health insurance, let alone a baby, Planned Parenthood gave me free birth control, which is not foolproof, but it definitely diminished my worry. This is the kind of healthcare we need to preserve and have accessible to everyone. However, I did my due diligence digging into this scandal about Planned Parenthood selling baby parts. I'll keep it brief and list the resources below, but in short, David Daladin, I think that's how you say it, sent people undercover to act as representatives of tissue brokering companies. For decades, these companies or nonprofits have been processing human tissue and filling orders for fetal cells from scientists studying eye disease, HIV, autism, and other conditions. So yes, these specimens or aborted fetuses have been used for medical research. And I will tell you flat out, money has a corruptive power. I do not believe Planned Parenthood or any provider should be incentivized monetarily to provide these specimens. That creates an immediate conflict of interest. Okay, so with this case, the logistics are that it is illegal to profit from aborted fetuses, but that after acquiring donor consent, providers could then recoup costs incurred by supplying donated fetal tissue to medical researchers. And you're allowed to be horrified by this. I have decided firmly, for now at least, that I will not be saying how I feel morally about abortion, because as I've hopefully shown in this video, presenting a moral case does not prevent abortion. That is our goal here. I will, however, tell you that I find it tragic and heartbreaking. I have seen a lot of people go through it, and it is not easy. I don't mean to generalize. Anyone that didn't feel that way, you are more than welcome to have had your own experience, but that is my opinion on it. I see it as heartbreaking. I want it to happen to many, many less people in this country. But again, it all boils down to one simple truth. Pro-life and pro-choice people, we are not enemies. Actually, we desperately need to become friends so we can solve this issue together. Morgan, I'm gonna come to Tennessee. Are we playing pool or not? Let's do this. Let's talk. Let's get on the same page. Let's advocate for sex ed, for resources, for universal health care, for women of color not dying in childbirth, and watch the abortion rates go down. I promise you. Other countries are implementing successful policies that keep choice legal but diminish the number of cases. America is a beast with all of this division, with all of this dissension. I know it is going to be difficult to get there, but again, I believe we can. That's really all I care about right now. And again, we know who the divider is, and it is not our creator. It is not love. Let's advocate for love. Let's advocate for unity. And that's it. I love you all so much. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, donate to my Patreon or Venmo if you can. Get your copy of On Her Knees. I love you all so much. God bless.